You're listening to 702 Gaming Podcast, episode number 7. We have an exciting one today. As of recording today, they just announced the Steam Deck from Valve, a handheld that plays all of your Steam games in a Switch-like handheld system.
Yeah, that's gonna be nice, man. Hopefully,
Yeah,
Valve to me doesn't really release any garbage. I mean, they take forever to release whatever they release, but once it comes out, though, it's like we've been waiting on you. So it's cool to see them do something different, and it's pretty interesting timing, right? Like, that OLED was just announced, and they're like, oh yeah, hey, by the way, real quick,
on the Switch.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
And they're like, oh, we got something too.
yeah,
And it looks similar.
it looks like a Game Gear.
It looks more like a Game Gear.
It looks like a Game Gear, almost similar, not exact, but kind of how the Atari Lynx looks, like how long it is and the flatness of it, But I don't know. I mean, I'm excited for it.
I mean, first impressions, it's looking pretty cool. So we actually changed the topics we were going to talk about today because this popped up right before we started recording. It's like, oh, this is something we need to talk about.
Oh yeah.
I am excited. So on Twitter, I saw it says it starts at $3.99 and designed by Valve, powered by Steam, ships December of 2021. So it's just like you said,
That's crazy.
surprise.
Yeah, surprise, guys. We got something for you. So, I think what this system opens up, I mean, granted, no one's touched it yet, but what it potentially opens up is, I actually have a small Steam library. I know guys that
Small, huh?
have so many games where you're like, why would you even,
Like
like,
thousands
yeah,
or
thousands of games. Or, I mean, I understand when those sales hit, though, we all kind of jump in like, oh, I never wanted to play Chase the Chuck Wagon, but, it's on sale. It's like $1, so you buy it. I have a game called Turbo Pug. I don't know.
Turbo Pug,
Yeah,
like a dog.
like the dog. My
All right.
my youngest nephew is into pugs and just dogs in general. I thought it'd be it's horrible.
Turbo Pug. I'll have to check
Turbo
it
Pug.
out.
So
I
I'll be
like
able to
it.
play that on this new system, Turbo Pug. That's really why I want
Yeah.
it. Yeah. I checked the specs out, so I should be able to run Turbo Pug. But I think I have about 200 games on there. How awesome is that to be able to open up that library?
Right.
That
And to be able to play that library in bed, laying down. They sell a dock separately,
right?
or they're going to, that you can then plug it into your TV, kind of like a Switch, so you could play it on your couch
Right.
looking at TV. And then there's you could also plug in like mouse and keyboard and use it as a PC because it has
That's
that
what,
operating system and
yeah,
everything.
that to me that's the part where it's like, okay, okay, so I know it has Bluetooth capability. So you'll be able to Bluetooth your keyboard, your mouse, and a headset. The screen is 7 inch, I believe.
Yeah, 7 inch. Yep.
I'm not necessarily excited about the resolution of the screen. It's very similar to what I was ranting about, with the OLED from the new Switch coming out and the current Switch as well. So it's still running. It's running
This
at
one's
720 by or 1280 by 720, so 720p, but it is
no, this
actually
one's
1280 by 800.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Sick, and that's just is that a different aspect ratio or is that the same as the Switch?
What
It's
I
just a little bigger.
suspect is the play area is going to be 720, and I'm not sure what they're going to do with that additional pixel space. Maybe something similar to your phone, how you
Yeah,
got the notch area up there where nothing's really up there. So
yeah, a
yeah,
blacked out area.
yeah.
And then it's 400 nits typically. It says
Hmm.
60 hertz refresh rate. It can go, has an ambient light sensor. It's touch screen,
It
so
better
that
be.
works. Yeah, it's touch. And it says optically bonded LCD for enhanced readability. So it is an LCD screen, but that's not the end of the world.
No, it's not the end of the world. Um,
Yeah. The only time on a handheld, like I'll give you an example. If you put the Switch next to an OLED Switch when it comes out, I'm sure you'll see the difference right away. But when
Okay.
you don't have them sitting next to each other. When I look at my wife's iPhone, she has the iPhone 11. I have the Pro. So
Hmm.
mine has the OLED screen, hers has the whatever LCD screen Apple uses.
Right.
You don't really tell how much better my screen looks until you set them right next to each other.
Yeah,
So it's not the end of the world. It's not
I agree with that.
mind blowing on a 7-inch screen.
I mean, 7-inch screen is, it's, I mean, I don't want to say standard, but it's going to become standard because for the last however many years, there's only been one company, unless you're on the retro market and you're getting those aftermarket systems where you can,
Right.
you know, kind of do your own homebrew and stuff like that. But 6.5-inch screen has been what it is. The five, I think maybe 5.5 that the Nintendo, the light undockable unit is. So we've been around in that realm anyway. With Nintendo releasing a 7-inch screen, this is now a 7-inch screen. Now, like the differential, again with the OLED, yes, there is a difference in how it looks. Am I blown away by it? Sure. When you're running cinema 4K, if you're running 4096 by 2160, at 60, yeah, that's a major difference. If you're running 1280 by 720, I don't see this mind-blowing difference. Again, that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of with the issue I had initially with the Switch Pro. So now moving over to the new competition, it's comparable, at least screen size wise. There's no comparison with the library to me. There's no comparison with the accessories that you can use like right out the gate. That's what I think is awesome.
Yeah.
You
They
know,
even showed on their website two people playing plugged in with arcade style joystick, like fighting game style joysticks
don't
on
play with
there.
my emotions.
Yeah.
I didn't
No,
see
I
that.
saw it on there.
Okay,
Yep.
I'm too old for that. Don't play with my emotions.
So I
uh,
want to, it says we partnered with AMD to create Steam Deck's custom APU optimized for handling or handheld gaming. It is a Zen 2 plus RDNA 2 powerhouse, delivering more than enough performance to run the latest AAA games in a very efficient power envelope. And I saw an article on IGN that said they were playing Jedi Fallen Order on high settings.
that's pretty. I mean, that game is a phenomenal game. Haven't beat
Yeah,
it
it
yet,
looks
but
great
like
and everything.
it's a great looking game.
Yeah.
How old is the game now though? Is it a year and a half?
Yeah, something like that.
I would say. So,
Yeah.
to play that out the box and have it look good without what I would say PC gamers are used to more so than console gamers. If there is a hardware issue, because console games, this is the specs, you create your game according to these
Hmm.
specs. PC games have such a range, that middle ground is crazy. So if this is something that out the box you can play on high and not have any of the issues associated with not having a powerful enough computer to run whatever game it is, that's game changing to me.
Yeah, and I think this hardware being out there, developers who are developing for Steam in the first place, if
Right.
they might focus on making a good experience on this handheld. Yeah, it'll be available on the PC as well, but there's going to be developers that are thinking specifically of this handheld as they develop games
Yeah,
so that they can advertise like, hey, this we
also
made this
runs
to
this.
run really good on it. Yeah.
That's one of those things where I agree. I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing. Just coming from the PC gaming world, something that we all hate is this game is not optimized control scheme wise for
Mm.
PC. All right.
Yeah. I
So
could see that.
that's the thing that we hate. Like, what game did I have issues? Like the Predator game. Not necessarily a great game or anything, but that game was obviously made for a console. When I got the PC version of it, I'm being restricted to where on my keyboard I'm allowed to put certain moves. Like,
Oh,
then that's like, who
you're
does
talking
that?
about the Predator game that came out on PS4
Yeah,
like
I
last
think
year,
Wild Hunt or something like that it's
years.
called.
Yeah. Hmm.
That's not a PC gaming experience. If I want to have directly down the center of my keyboard, that's where my movement is, I can do that.
Hmm.
Right? But when games are made for a specific system they're made for that control scheme. You know what I'm saying? Whereas PC games, again, like I can say I never use the WASD for movement ever. I always migrate all of my controls to the far right side of my keyboard. I've been doing that since 99. So as a PC gamer, we all love the flexibility. I don't want people to now start creating games with that handheld in mind and then restrict the things that we've come to love on our platform. I would
Yeah.
assume, Valve is Valve, so they I can't really think of any time they've let us down, I guess, but
Yeah.
I'd hate for games to start being made for this thing and you can play it on PC. Now I make it for
Yeah.
PC and you can play it on this.
And that looks like what Valve is trying to do is say, hey, the entire library is on here. It's
That's wild.
available. Yeah.
That's
I don't
wild,
know
man.
if you can change the settings while you're in it, like you can on PC. That would be interesting if you open up the game and you look at settings. Can you put the settings so high on this handheld that you're at like 2 frames per second? Because on PC it doesn't hold
Yeah.
you back, right? It's like go ahead.
Yeah,
Uh
for the most part, sure. Like
yeah.
when I that new Resident Evil, which I was not a fan of that. I'm constantly increasing my graphics setting because I'm like the hair looks horrible. Like on these werewolves, and like this is the worst looking hair I've ever seen. So
Really.
what's happening here? I'm increasing and increasing and increasing to the point where I got to those 2 frames a second when you're like, I guess the hair might look good. I'll wait for the second frame to render and then I'll let you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm
You're
sure there's
playing
going
a
to be
flip book.
some restrictions associated with it, and that's fine. I don't think, even though this is just announced now, I would venture to say no one's going into this assuming that they're going to be able to get the best of the best of the best of the best experience on it. What
Right.
we
Yeah.
want is the experience.
Yeah.
You know, I'm
Just
I'm excited
let
for
it
it.
run pretty good. And
Yeah.
um it says that it has like gyro sensors in it, where you can move it around. I'm not into that. I don't like driving games and stuff where I'm acting like I'm turning a steering
Are
wheel. I
you
don't like
looking like a
that.
fool?
But the way they're showing it is in a first person shooter, and they're using both joysticks like normal, but when they're just about to fire, they kind of just barely move it
Mhm.
to get that accurate shot. I thought that was a pretty cool way to use that
That's
instead of just let me turn around to
hmm, that's
spin.
that's
It's
different.
just kind of, yeah.
That's different. Now,
It
you
says,
you also play all your first person shooters on your control, right?
yeah, I always play it on a controller. Even if I'm on Steam, I hook up a Xbox controller.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm used to it.
Hmm.
It does have like the two track pads, the touch screen,
Right.
and then all the buttons. The buttons are actually very reminiscent of the Xbox Elite controller, where they have the buttons in the back.
Hmm.
It's the A, B, X, Y, just like at Xbox. The joysticks are lined up though, the way you like it,
I know. I saw that, and I would also like to point out
kind of
that
PlayStation style right there.
that ABXY, it's Nintendo first, buddy.
Ah,
Yeah, Super Nintendo. So just putting it out there,
you're
Sega
right.
guy. Yeah, I know you Sega guys are used to
Yeah, two
ABC,
buttons
right?
or
So,
three buttons, whatever it was.
yeah, you know what I really like is there's an actual D-pad. Look at that.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you want to play, whether it's your 2D games or your fighter, I mean, there's a lot of like I do a lot of my fighters on the arcade, so
Hmm.
I'm used to joysticks, and stuff. But if I'm playing on the PlayStation, I'm using the control pad. You have to have a D-pad. You have to
Yeah,
have it if you're going to play. So
yeah.
just having that on there, again with my rant with Nintendo, this is what we're talking about. There's a reason they put a real D-pad on there.
Hmm.
There's a reason for that. Again, I mean, I guess if you can peek around a corner this way, that might
Right.
be kind of
Something like
cool.
that. What it looked like to me in the video they were showing is kind of how you naturally play a game when you're on a controller anyways.
Hmm.
You find yourself when you're playing a game, if you're trying to peek around that corner, doesn't your body
Yeah,
lean
you
that
feel
way
like,
anyways? It doesn't do anything, but you
uh, So
Sometimes I catch myself doing that. I'm like, why am I leaning over?
I mean,
But
kind of, yeah.
this thing's in your hand. I mean, it'll pick that up.
Well, I do enough VR that I don't feel weird anymore.
Yeah,
So,
I know, right? VR, you're just swinging,
and my
hitting
wife will
walls.
come in, I'm like low crawling, and she just steps over me like, this guy, what
Yeah.
is going on?
Oh, he's prone in the
Yeah.
living room.
I'm like, I'm going through the tall grass. Give me a second. Give me a second.
Carpet burns.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, again, I that might be something that's cool. I've really only used like motion controls like that in just a handful of games. Me and
Same.
a good friend of mine, five-star gamer, uh,
What up, 5 star?
we used to play the Army of Two games. Like
Oh
those
yeah.
those games are just they're the best dumb buddy
Yeah.
like cop buddy type movie that you can
Yep.
play. And there's a part I believe it's in the first one where you're on parachutes and you got to come in and you're going like this through the canyon.
You're right. You do that. Yeah.
And I remember like, what am I doing with my life right now? Like, why am I doing that? I feel stupid doing it now. All right. But I mean, it was cool. I do so many shooters. I mean, all my shooters are on the PC anyway, so I'm not, doing I'm not doing that with the mouse and the keyboard.
Right.
But hey, there's a place for it. There's a place
Yeah.
for it. So,
It says that it has a cool feature that's something that Xbox promotes quite a bit with the new Series X and S,
mhm.
which is fast suspend and resume. So on
Oh,
Xbox, it's called quick resume, but they're calling it fast suspend resume. But it's something that once you have it, it is very nice to have. Um, it doesn't look like it doesn't mention how many games you can suspend. It might be only one at a time, but it says if you're in the middle of a game, you put the console into sleep mode,
okay.
and then you come back and you push the power back on. It'll wake right up to the game where you were at and everything. You don't have to reload anything.
Hmm.
It's held. So
That's
with the
pretty cool.
Series X, you can suspend multiple games until the RAM is full.
Hmm.
So as long as you have RAM freed up, you can just keep suspending games. I use it all the time for my single player stuff.
So,
So that's something I enjoy. I'm sure that'd be really cool on this
yeah, I think that's pretty cool.
handheld.
It's almost like, I mean,
Just like a quality of life thing. That's all,
hmm.
you know?
It sounds like, I mean, it's different because people use this for different reasons, but save states when you're talking
Yeah.
like emulation. Now
Yeah.
it's, I know they have it on the Switch for the older school games, but yeah, it was always nice when you're using save states to, okay, I
Hmm.
gotta go, let me save it right here, come back and just load it from that spot. So if it's
Yeah.
seamless, that's really cool.
Yeah. It's cool.
That's
I
really
like it.
cool. Again, the to me one of the biggest parts of this announcement that I think uh, really means something for gamers is competition.
Hmm.
Right? And this is not, a slight against what Nintendo has done, but I said before, them cornering the market means that they can give you what they want instead of what you want as the consumer.
Right.
So having someone else make all the decisions as to how I'm going to spend, this system is $3.99. I'm sure there'll be different versions of it, that'll be a bit more.
Hmm.
It'll be the same thing with the Switch. Like I want to have options as to,
Yeah.
you know,
Me too.
you know,
And it says it has Steam Chat, Remote Play, the store, all your cloud saves,
that's amazing,
notifications,
man.
everything. The whole community um,
Well, I don't know about the community.
feed.
I
Yeah,
don't.
but it has that feed.
No, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And the Steam community can be kind of I mean, it's not as bad as it used to be like in the early 2000s where you're like, oh my God,
I
these
always
people are
loved
out there.
reading the game reviews when I'm looking at a game and I look it up. It'll be like some horrible game and it'll all be 5 stars across the
Right.
board, and everyone's like, game crashed first minute, 5 star,
Five
would buy
star.
again. Like, what?
I
The
still read those now, man. Some of them are
so
hilarious.
like
Some of
yeah,
them are
I love
hilarious.
reading them, but man, it makes the rating system so jacked up, but
Well,
it's funny.
my favorite one was from DayZ, where if anyone's played that, you know, and like I've played it a lot. You start out and you got to figure it out, and hopefully you can group with some
Survival
people.
horror zombie game, right?
Yeah.
Survival zombie.
But they were like, got the game, kind of got my whereabouts, figured, I'd go over here, find some supplies, got this, that, and the third. Group of bandits rolled up on me, pulled guns on me. I begged them not to kill me. They hogtied me, made me eat a banana. I died.
How many stars did he give it?
Oh, he gave it 5 stars.
Oh,
Like, oh
nice.
boy,
He
why
enjoyed
wouldn't
the
you? He loved it.
experience.
He loved it. He was like, cool,
He was like,
man.
"This is what I'm looking for in a game.
Yes,
Someone to
yes.
force me to eat a banana."
Another guy, they forced him to eat aerosol and died. 5 stars. All right. Everyone's gaming
Yeah.
experiences are different, so
Yeah.
yeah,
Everyone's looking for something a little
a
different.
little different. It sounds like, I mean, that game's like an insanity simulator. Like, dude, I survived 2 days. Oh, someone made me eat my shoe and I died. So
Yeah.
there you go. Um, so again, opening up the library to Steam is such a, you know, I, to use a buzz term, that is a game changer to me. To have that library on your device that you can travel with, I think is awesome. Now, I do wonder though, the travel aspect of it. Is it something where you're going to have to download, the games to the unit and then just play them in offline mode, which I assume is what it is. Um, I mean, all this can't be cloud-based gaming. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Where you're
Yeah, no,
streaming it, so
it mentioned that there's like an expandable SD slot for
mhm.
you to install more games. So yeah, I think you're installing them to the system.
So then, to me that, I mean, that's great. A lot of PC games are huge,
Yeah.
huge
Yeah. You're
games.
probably going to be deleting and downloading
I'm sure.
as you, yeah, right?
I'm
You're gonna
sure.
have to do something like that.
I mean, console games are huge now also, but the difference
Mhm.
being, I think I've got like 8 terabytes in my computer. You don't have that on a console. So,
Yep.
I mean, there's going to be some give and take, and that's fine. But I am sure that you're probably not going to be playing your favorite MMO on this, on the go or something like that. So I guess as long as everyone understands the limitations going in, the limitations I'm assuming I'm still fine with.
Yeah,
This looks like a
same.
good time.
Yep. I understand what I would be in for. I'm gonna try and pre-order one. It opens up tomorrow at 10 a.m. pre-orders.
Okay.
Set a reminder. We'll see how this goes because, as we know, during this pandemic, especially, it's really hard to find any kind of electronic. The Switch is hard to find a lot of times,
Right.
but PlayStation 5 and the Series X are near impossible to
Right.
find.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, they've been successfully the unicorn of the
yeah,
last year and a half. Right.
yeah.
Like I
I
hear
mean, I was
about people
lucky
that don't
enough
know.
on the Series X. Me and my brother both were lucky enough to get the Series X day one.
Wow.
And then I ended up picking up a Series
Wow.
S 6 months later. But uh, yeah, we got lucky on that. We still don't, I don't know anyone else that has a Series X yet because no one can get their hands on it.
You're
Same
the
with
only
the
person.
PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
My neighbor has a PlayStation 5. That's the only guy I know that has one.
Uh that gent that we know, five
Mm,
star gamer. Uh yeah, he has one. He was
nice.
able to get his hands on a few. So there's
Oh,
again, he was one of those unicorns that's like, yeah, I got him.
yeah.
Most people though,
Most don't.
yeah, most people don't have them at
No. And I
all.
feel bad for the people that aren't getting them because everyone wants them and they're worth
Yeah.
the money.
You know, I don't have them yet. But I still say I don't know what the games are that's making me go, I gotta get it. Gotta get one. That's all I'm waiting for.
You're
You
waiting
know?
for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, on PlayStation 5, they just what released Ratchet and Clank
Yeah. So
a little
Ratchet and
while ago.
Clank.
I mean, there's a couple games on there,
I think
but
that Biomutant game looks cool, but I also think, I mean, that's not an exclusive, which, exclusives don't make or break a system, but they help
and
move units though.
well, and about that game is I don't think there's a series or like a next gen upgrade to that game yet. It's coming on Biomutant because I was gonna buy that game because really liked how it looked,
Right.
but it said you're playing on like the One X version until we come out with an update, kind of like Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk still has yet to release a Series X, S, or PlayStation 5
like
new
worthy,
generation up. Yeah,
right?
it's not, dude. That game is
I
garbage on
mean,
the console.
that
I hate it.
it had a lot of there's a lot that seemed to have gone wrong with that. That was a prime example of maybe you should weather the storm of angry gamers that it's going to be delayed again instead of, I mean, PlayStation removed you from the store.
Yeah,
Like that, I've never
that's a
even
big
heard of
deal.
that. But
I've
yeah,
never heard of that either.
never heard of that happen. They have some trash up there, like some legitimate like dumpster juice that you can go and get right now. I mean,
But Cyberpunk's down. Well,
yeah,
and my thing with Cyberpunk, I know we're going a little off course, but my thing with Cyberpunk is it's not just the bugs and how bad the game looks
it's the
graphically,
game.
it's the game too.
Yeah, yeah. Like I
For
wanted
me, disappointing all the
the
way
the
around.
world that they promised, I didn't get.
No.
That's what like disappointed me the
Nope.
most. You know, I
Yeah.
wanted this immersive world that was like it felt like I was in Blade Runner.
Yeah.
You know, like this was the world, and you didn't know who you could trust, and every it pans this way. You're always seeing something new, and you're like, this is exactly what I'd imagined this would be like, and you would pan to the left, and this guy's eyes are now just kind of popping in, and then his jawline slowly pops into place. You're like, yeah, that is scary. That's not the future I was thinking, though.
Yeah. I mean, I was on a mission and I go into this big, like, high-rise building, and you know who I had to take out?
Hmm.
A whole army of guns just floating around. Guns. There was no people attached to the guns. The guns were running around the room just shooting me. I couldn't take them out. There was nothing to hit. And no matter how many times I
That's
reloaded
awesome.
the level, it was just guns
Uh,
running around.
Yeah, that's the Ghost House. Ghost House
Yeah.
Adventures. I think that's what they
Oh,
called it. Yeah. Were you in the
yeah.
Amityville Horror House?
I guess so, man. There's a lot of stuff like that in the game that just I was already not enjoying the game
Mhm.
for what it was, and then all those bugs and glitches just
Yeah, they
I was like,
really.
I'm done. I deleted it. I mean, I would assume I was about halfway through the game, at
Mhm.
least halfway, because I did put in some time on it, and I didn't like it. I was not happy with it.
Yeah, the pop in just at this stage, and as long as the development was, that was just unforgivable to me.
Yeah.
And I can forgive a lot, coming from so many different generations of gaming where it's like, man, I get it, right? But this game is just fun. So let's go. Like, there's a lot of fun games that aren't the best game. This one wasn't fun. It didn't look good. I fell through the floor, like through levels of the floor, like five,
And
six
this was on
times
PC.
on the PC. Like I
This was
was
still,
I was
yeah, they said
driving.
PC didn't really have problems, but
Oh, it
it
had
had,
problems.
I've heard it had
No,
problems too.
it had
Yeah.
problems. Like, I'm driving the car and he just kind of floats, like phases through it like Kitty Pryde from X-Men, and he just keeps falling through the floor, like and down and through the street, and you're like, what's going on right now? So, yeah, that's not how you release a game.
No, no.
That was the anthem of the
Oh,
PC world.
man. Jeez.
I love bringing that one
Another.
up.
But yeah, thank you for
Man,
that.
say it, man.
We'll do an episode on just like games that should have been good that turned out so wrong.
Yeah, we got to do one of those.
Yeah.
It'd be like a 19-hour episode. But I mean, just to kind of touch back on this, I think the competition is great. I love the fact that they came in like a battle rapper, right? Like they let you go first, and then I
Mhm.
I heard what you did, and now I'm just going to respond to it. That's what
And
they
you're
did.
talking about Switch dropping the news and then about an OLED screen in their new Switch,
Right.
and then
And I'm telling you,
Steam comes out like we got you.
like I imagine Valve was sitting there like, have at him.
I'm going to ask Sony Computer Entertainment President of America, Steve Reyes, to join me for a brief presentation. $299.
Yeah,
You know?
everyone knew Switch was or Nintendo was about to announce a new, you know,
Yeah,
version. We all thought it was going to be a pro version, but it was
yeah.
this OLED version. So everyone knowing that Valve knew they were going to drop something. You're right. They were
There's,
holding on like,
I'm telling
let's
you, like
let
it
them drop it
seriously, I
first.
just imagine him sitting there like this and he's like, off with his head. You know, go get him. So yeah, I think it's great. I think it's
It
great.
is.
The battery life said like 40 hours.
Yeah, that's
That's
insane.
wild. That's wild.
Um, it has HD haptics, it says. I don't know exactly what that means, but I
Haptic
was looking
feedback.
at the CPU is Zen 2 up to 448, I guess, gigaflops. I don't
Okay.
know about that, but the GPU's an 8 RDNA 2 CUs, 1.6 teraflops. So on the graphical power being 1.6 teraflops, that puts it at like what's that put it at? Like an original or maybe a
Uh,
PS4 original or
so
Xbox One,
I
like the
mean,
original ones.
I get to
I
me,
think those were about 2 teraflops. Or am I wrong?
I
Because the One X, when the
feel
One X came out, it came out at 6 teraflops, which was like mind blowing for a console at the time.
right.
And I think the Series X now is like 12
I was gonna say, I
teraflops.
think the first iteration of the last generation of consoles is where I should put it at,
Yeah, I think you're right. Yep.
right? Because
That's pretty
I
good.
think, yeah, I think all the console from the last generation they had one or two upgrades.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think it puts it at the very start of that generation. That's pretty amazing for a handheld.
Very.
Pretty amazing. I mean, again, I have zero issue with playing games on the PS2. So to take this type of graphical jump into a handheld to me is that's pretty impressive. That's
Yeah.
pretty impressive. Now, there is something to be said though. I keep going back to it. That's great that we have all this power, but we're only, rendering it at 1280
Yeah.
in my
Well, here's the
720.
thing.
So,
I wanted to bring that up. It says under expansion, external connectivity for controllers and displays. So you can use a display port 1.4
oh, well, that's
and
4K.
it allows up to 8K at 60 hertz or 4K at 120 hertz, it says.
Hmm.
There's no way that this handheld is going to play games at those. It's
Well,
just saying
here's the thing. The
DisplayPort
display,
can do that.
yeah,
Yeah.
the display itself.
Yeah.
So, yes, the you might get a 8K desktop feed, right? So
Yeah,
I
that's true.
guess that is 8K, but most games don't render
Right.
anywhere near that. So
Right. You would be able to stream off of it an 8K feed, like you're saying, like if you're watching a video
yeah,
on
that's just empty
YouTube
pixel
at
space.
4K or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
that's
it can do that, but these games aren't going to be able
no.
to do that.
I can tell
But
you right now, I played Diablo 2 the other day at 3840 by 2160. Did I really play Diablo 2 in Ultra HD? No, I did not. I played it on the display, right? So,
yeah,
like that game, the highest resolution that it plays at is 1024 by 768. It's just the 4:3 image.
I
But
gotcha.
sure, playing it in 4K, I guess I did. Sure.
Yeah.
So, I won't be blown away by that stuff. Now, maybe, if it has the ability to stream movies and stuff like that, then maybe that opens up a few other things.
Hmm.
Truthfully,
Yeah.
though, I don't need it to be a multimedia handheld. I just wanted to play
No.
the games.
If I can get my hands on one of these, it's simply going to be because I don't play a whole lot of Steam anyways,
Hmm.
and I don't like installing all those games on my laptop,
Right,
bogging down my laptop,
right.
because that's all I have right now. If I have this, I can use my laptop for the podcast, for business
Yeah,
type stuff that
yeah.
I need to do, pay bills, whatever, and
Hmm.
then I can hop on this handheld and get on there with you guys.
I like that. I like,
I mean, that's what I'm
especially
hoping.
because you use the controller anyway. So
Yeah,
this would be like right up your alley.
I'm hoping I can get my hands on one. I'm gonna try tomorrow, and we'll see how this goes. But I have a
I know.
feeling it's like the other ones, man. This the sites are gonna crash. And
Oh my
you
gosh.
here's another thing to keep in mind: if you are putting a reservation down,
Mhm.
you have to pay $5, which to me isn't a big deal. But when you read on their website, why do I have to pay $5 to reserve one?
Mhm.
They say because they're looking for true people buying it, and I think they're trying to get
Oh,
away
the
from all those
scalpers.
bots and scalpers, man.
Yes, that
Yeah.
so I've been thinking about that. I mean, I'm
So if
not
someone's
a
trying to scalp 20 of them and now they got to
right,
pay $5 each, it might make them,
right. Just any incentive to stop these people
yeah,
from ruining, right, the ruination of our hobby.
yeah,
So I'm all for that. And I would
yeah.
have, especially if that $5, like you hope that it goes towards, the purchase. If it was, a holding fee,
That's cool
yeah, I wouldn't have a
with
problem with
me.
that. You're already spending 400 on this
Yeah,
handheld anyway.
yeah,
So if an additional $5 is going to break you, you shouldn't be looking at getting this. That's how I look at that, So, but yeah, anything to stop oh, I bought like 19 of those. I know they're going for 3.99. Since you can't get them though, I'm selling mine, for 500. Yeah, anything we can do to stop that.
yeah.
I'm all
I
for it.
agree.
All for it.
Let me tell you on the battery, you're right. It says 40 working hours on the battery,
Right.
but it says 2 to 8 hours of gameplay. So depending on the type
Okay.
of game you're playing, I'm sure, but still,
I think that's
that's
fine.
about the Nintendo Switch. It's
Yeah.
about the same because the Switch will die on you real quick.
Well, my
You
hands
you can
normally
leave
give
them
out
plugged
first,
in.
but
Yeah, I
but yeah,
know.
I always have mine plugged in.
You can
So
just have it plugged in. It's not a big
yeah,
deal to me.
that definitely is not that's not a make or break to me.
No.
Honestly, man, there's nothing that doesn't excite me about this just because, man, I keep saying it, the library is so vast. So if you're looking at the Switch, which is the only thing we can look at in regards to this, uh, Nintendo has a huge library.
Hmm.
And what they do is they Disney it to you. The Disney Vault, right? Where they're like, yeah, Little Mermaid. We're gonna re-release it in like, 8 years. And everyone's like, oh, I can't wait, right? So Nintendo does the same thing.
Yeah.
Like on the Switch store now, there's Kid Icarus, which anyone who's played that game is like, yeah, I only thought there was like one level in it because I couldn't get past it. Right? I had no
Right.
idea that the game actually does side scrolling. But that's on there now. That's kind of I guess, a re-release of sorts. So most people hadn't played that unless you're, into emulation and stuff like that. But if you're legitimately trying to buy games and all that, you haven't played that since the 80s when it came out. But now you're
Right.
like, oh, awesome, right? They re-released it. I remember this game. With Steam, if you bought it, it's yours forever. It doesn't matter how many different versions of a computer that you now have. Once unless you forget your login information, as long as you know all that stuff, this is yours for eternity. So all of those old games, I can play them right now. I don't have to wait for something else to come out or have someone have the control over me to say,
Yeah.
no, I know you bought it, but buy it again.
And
Or
yeah, and the difference with PC gaming is that if your computer was here in power and you're playing this game, you upgrade your PC 2 years from now, you could play your old game and up all the settings.
yes, yep.
That's cool
Recently, I did
without
that with
rebuying it.
the American McGee Alice. I absolutely love that game.
Right.
Such a cool, twisted world there. Last time I played that was like early 2000s. Played it again recently. What's the difference? Well, I ran it at 4K, sorry, but the difference is that game loaded like this. Like everything
Yeah.
was just like, holy crap. You know, Still the same fun game. It's my game that I purchased, so I get to do what I want to with it. So again, opening up that type of library, I can only imagine what their Steam sales are going to do once people have the ability to play on the go.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm all in.
I like
I'm
it.
all in.
Yeah, I am too. I am too. Um, so we can try and get this. our reservation put in tomorrow. We can try and pre-order it, but it's not like it used to be, even with Series X and S. And so it's the same as this, where you're just online hoping the website doesn't crash on you, hoping you could get your
Right.
name in there, right? You're jumping from Best Buy to GameStop to,
Right.
Microsoft Store. You're trying so hard. Um, but back in the day when we used to go to the store, have you waited in line or overnight for any said game or console in the past?
So, it's funny. I always, you know, one that I feel that's going away. In the post-COVID pandemic, I feel like maybe the crowds are going to dwindle, additionally, but just in general, I believe it was like my generation was the ones that really started that. The Gen X guys would really sit outside and wait forever in tents and all kind of crazy stuff like that. Um, and I think it's because growing up, we saw like fanatical fans in every facet, whether it's passing out because Michael Jackson has a concert, right? And you're like 2 miles back. So you can barely see him, but you're still so amped just at the possibility. You're like, I'm done. Right. So I just think that fanatical type of mentality, we're older now. So the motivation to get up and go, and obviously we're both in Vegas. So it it's crazy to me to sit outside in 117-degree heat waiting for something, but I'm from Chicago. It's equally crazy to me to be sitting outside when it's like below zero, the wind's like just shearing the skin off of your face, and you're like, but Halo's coming out. So, me personally, it's not anything that I would do or have done, but at the same time, I don't judge anyone like,
You
hey,
understand it.
yeah, like let's
So,
go if
well,
you
I'm glad
want
you
it.
said that because I've done it on a few
That's the only
occasions.
reason
But
I said it, because I'm like, dang,
well,
think
no.
my guy
So I'm
did.
trying to think back. I waited in line. I think my wife was actually really nice enough when the 360 came out. She went and waited in line for me at like RC Willie or something
What?
and got me in a 360 because I was at work. I couldn't get the day
Shout
off,
out
and
to the
she,
lovely
yep,
wives out
she
there.
hooked me up. Yeah, thank you. It was awesome.
That's awesome.
Um, yeah, that was when the 360 first came out. But then personally, me and my brother waited for the original Fable when it came out
Hmm.
because I had been following it online and I just thought, wow, this looks really cool.
Uh,
It'd be fun just to go down to the mall and they leave the mall open. All the
the
stores are
mall.
closed except for, I don't
Right.
know, at the time, maybe it was GameStop. I think it was Electronics Boutique or
And I
something.
think
EB
GameStop
Games or
bought
something.
them.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was EB Games at the time. And we just had fun. There was nothing to it. You just waited in line and then at um 9 o'clock or whatever, 12 Eastern time, they just let you purchase the game and you go home. Um, that one wasn't all that, but Halo Master Chief Collection, I went down on the strip they have at the Fashion Show Mall.
Hmm.
They have a Microsoft store, and I went pre-ordered my Halo Master Chief collection, and it was really cool because it was like a giant party
Hmm.
where they had all these Xboxes set up. Everyone was playing the Master Chief collection before
Oh,
it came out. Everyone's
okay.
playing against each other and
That's
stuff, and
cool.
you're watching,
That's
and you
cool.
could wait in line to play it. They did giveaways. People were winning Xboxes and free games and free headsets and stuff.
Well,
It was just really cool. They had Spartans like dressed up,
yeah, it's
like
wonderful.
cosplay type,
Yeah,
and it was like
yeah, that was
high
me.
quality.
That's when I
Oh,
first
that was
met
you.
you.
Oh, hey,
Yeah,
what's
that's
up?
when I.
uh, it
uh,
came out. It was cool. It was fun. If that stuff was still out there, I would do it. I had planned on doing the same thing for the Series X because I thought they would throw a party down there on the strip
right.
for it, but then the pandemic hit and that all went out the window. But
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would do that kind of stuff. It's just kind of fun just to be in because the whole group that's there
Hmm.
is all there for the same reason.
Right. 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 No, I think that part is cool. And
Yeah.
actually, now that I think about it, I mean, I was still fairly young at the time, when the first Mortal Kombat was coming out. Mortal Monday is what they called it. So I went and picked the game up, but I knew some people, so I just kind of went in, and it was a line of people. I just kind of walked in like, you know, would I have waited in line? Maybe. I mean, but not too long though, and actually there's I guess there's
What was
one
that
more.
on then? Super Nintendo?
Super Nintendo and the Genesis.
And was it Super Nintendo that made the blood green?
No, the blood, it was no blood, it was sweat.
Oh, sweat. Oh, they
Yeah.
got sweaty.
Yeah, it got mad sweaty. So when you would do like Johnny Cage's fatality, which in the arcade is him uppercutting your head off, when you
Hmm.
did the same moves in Super Nintendo, he did like a shadow kick and his foot just it disappeared into your chest. It didn't even come out the back. It just like morphed into your chest and you were like, ah, and you fell over. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it would hurt still,
Did
but
did the Sega keep the blood and everything, or was
the
it?
Sega kept the blood. That was the selling point is, we're a system for cool kids, whose parents don't care about them growing up to be maniacs. And you're like, yeah, that's the version I got. And I mean, it had blood, but there's obviously graphical differences in between the two systems. One had this strength, one had this strength. I remember just hours and hours of playing that game with three buttons. It's like this is horrible. This is horrible like this. Um, I know there was a six button controller out, but I was a pobo, so I couldn't afford that as a poor boy. So, but yeah, I would have waited in line, I guess, a little bit for that, and I did kind of wait like three people in front of me to get Street Fighter Cross Tekken. Worst decision. That's probably why I don't do it now because that game was like, what's happening?
The
What's going
game
on?
burned you.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was bad. It was bad. So, again though, hey, this is our culture. There's good and bad. That's not even close to bad. That's just the
Yeah,
fun
there's
like
nothing wrong
camaraderie.
with it. It's
Yeah,
just, yeah.
it's camaraderie.
And it's kind of sad that at this point we're just doing online stuff because it's not as exciting to be at home frustrated, computers crashing, like I said.
Hmm.
And even when you do lock it in, you feel relieved, but you didn't have fun doing it. Where at least at
Yep.
the store, everyone's there having fun doing the same thing.
Right.
You get your name in, everyone's high-fiving and
Hmm.
excited to be there. It's cool.
So
Hopefully that kind of stuff comes back eventually.
I do think that would be cool. Like I definitely went to go pick up a mini iteration of fighting game at GameStop, and they're doing like a tournament, and I guess they were doing like a release party type of thing. I'm getting out of work late or working out or whatever. I just happen to get there late, and oh yeah, I'll pick it up. Hey, you guys, what are you guys playing? Yeah, let me jump in here real quick. So I've done that, and that part is kind of cool. Um, but definitely different genres of games attract different types of people. So, I've
Sure.
definitely seen my share, at these different tournaments of fist fights. And it's like, oh, yeah, what do you guys play? Oh, Madden. Who'da knew? Right?
Right.
Who'da knew? So, again, there's the good and bad with what our love of this hobby is. That's definitely that's just fine to me. I also
Yeah.
never sat in line for a movie, and waited like that either.
Right. There's plenty of people that do that too.
And they
Yeah,
would
I've never done
laugh
that.
at the people that wait in line for video games, but
Yeah.
they'll wait, for 3 hours. Or if you go to
Yeah.
Disneyland and you're waiting 3 hours to get on a ride that is that fast, they have no problem with that. But you're a dork if you're waiting on a video game. It's like,
Right.
you
And
know,
can you imagine? And I feel bad for them too because uh just like me buying Cyberpunk, those Star Wars fans when Jar Jar Binks pops up on the
ah,
screen like I waited overnight for this?
yeah, to not even know what you're saying. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, just saying that now, it is funny that those, how people will judge what you do,
Another group.
but don't realize they're doing the same thing just, for whatever their thing is. And
Yeah.
it's cool to have a thing. Again,
Yeah.
I'm not at a
I think it's
concert where
cool
there's a
either way.
million people and I'm passing out because, I think this singer is so awesome. I can't wait to hear your auto tune. Like I'm not doing that. But hey, man, if that's what you do, as long as you're not hurting anybody, let's go.
Let's wrap it up. Basically, we are excited for Steam Deck and hope we can get our hands on at least one or two. We'll see. We'll let you guys know in a future podcast. Probably the next podcast, actually, we'll let you know if our reservations go through.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of people. Whole lot of people.
Yeah.
This one might be more difficult to get your hands on than Xbox, PlayStation. What do you think?
It could
Is there
be.
more Steam players?
Well, it's not even just that there's more Steam players. The fact that you have to put a bit of coin down to even reserve one, maybe that'll help. So this is the acid test, right? To see.
I got $5.
Yeah, I've got 5 on it, right? So yeah, hopefully, man. Hopefully.
Yeah, I hope it works out.
Maybe we won't publish this yet until we can get ours, because we don't want the word to get out just yet, right?
I know, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like, hold off on this
Yep.
one.
Yeah. All right. Well, hit us up on Twitter. I'm trying to get some followers on there and tweet some stuff out. We're at 702gaming. We're at 702gaming@gmail.com if you want to email us some ideas what you want us to talk about or give you a shout out. And we're out of here.